In the 1960s, Canada and the United States had roughly the same percentage of their workers in unions, about 30% in both countries. Today, Canada still has almost 30% of its workers in unions. In the United States, it's down to about 11%, and much less than that, it's in the private sector.
That's what he said in 2007. He's sticking by those words. And Sarah McIntyre is joining us as well, because Krugman was at Princeton and he's moving over to the SUNY Graduate Center.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's going to be working with the Luxembourg Income Study Center, looking at income inequality in his ivory tower, collecting a paycheck of $225,000. But he's not actually teaching any courses, and he doesn't have any students he's supervising. So basically, he's just being paid to show up and smile.
Okay, so what's wrong with that?
Well, nothing's wrong with that. I mean, it's a state-funded university. If I was going to that university or paying tuition, I'd be wondering about my tuition dollars going towards somebody who's really just a shrill polemicist. I mean, he's an economist that has made his name by criticizing the Bush tax cuts, saying that the 9/11 was partly self-inflicted. So he's certainly a headline generator, but sitting around and collecting $225,000 while he's supposedly studying income inequality. I mean, this is a guy that's going to be earning, the top 1% and sitting upon high, crafting solutions of how to redistribute wealth while collecting $225,000.
But he probably took a pay cut from moving from Princeton, right?
Well, I'm not sure what he was making at Princeton, but he was also offered $10,000 in moving expenses, as well as $10,000 in research and travel. I mean, he even said he had to read the letter that was offered from City University a few times, because he, sheepishly said it seemed a bit generous for what he was actually going to be doing.
It seems to me, if I'm SUNY, and I'm a public institution, and I want to raise some money, then I'd get a high-profile guy in there. Wouldn't that be the whole point of it? Whether you pay him $200. You know what a basketball coach makes? University of Kentucky did NCAAs. The guy makes over $5 million a year as a basketball coach. But you have a basketball program in place to attract funding. Isn't that the case?
Well, and you also, generate that income from tickets that you sell for basketball players. And,
right.
It's
same as you would generate income from students that want to apply to the university.
Well, but this is a guy that actually, he has long left his academic disciplines and critical thinking on the sidelines in order to generate headlines and to sell books. I mean, he's not actually a pillar of academia.
But he's a capitalist. What's wrong with being a capitalist? You don't have to be, a conservative. I don't agree with his ideas. Don't get me wrong, but he's a capitalist. There's nothing wrong with being a capitalist and selling books.
He's a capitalist for himself. He's got his
Everybody's a capitalist for themselves.
But he is a capitalist for himself, but he doesn't preach those theories, though, Pat. He actually preaches income redistribution and state intervention. He actually isn't a free marketer at all. He's a Keynesian economist. He preaches about, the need for the state and the government to come in and take money from you in order to redistribute to other levels of income. So he's, in terms of...
So the more money he makes, the more he can give to the state.
Well, sure, he'll be giving more to, especially if he's, following his own policies of eat the rich, which is, kind of the Krugman mantra, which is, it's take from the rich in order to give to the poor. He doesn't actually believe in actually growing the economic pie. He believes that there's a set pie and we're going to divvy it up accordingly, and it's up to the state to actually determine who that is.
Yeah, I don't think he's necessarily eat the rich kind of a guy.
Well, if you looked at anything he said on the Bush tax cuts, absolutely he's eat the rich.
But he's got different concepts. Regardless, I don't necessarily agree with his economics, but he's got the right to make as much as he wants. In fact, I probably would ask for more, quite frankly, because he is such a high-profile guy that will attract students as well as money to the university. It seems to me like marketing.
Well, that's exactly what it is, and that's what the letter states in his offering is basically there's nothing required of his presence, simply that he has to host one seminar throughout the 9 months. So, he doesn't actually even need to move there. He just needs to, he's got his name associated with the university. They've accomplished what they need to set out. They'll invite him for a few public events to have some high-profile donors to move the case and the cause forward in terms of pushing for more of the Krugman-style economic theories.
Okay, so do you think that the people are crying out about this are just jealous that they didn't make the $225,000
well, I think they find it a bit rich, a bit ironic that someone that's going to be going and studying income inequality is going to be, being paid $225,000 $225,000 to do that. And he doesn't even have to publish a book or anything. He simply just has to show up and collect a paycheck.
Perfect
How
deal.
is this guy going to how does he understand income inequality when certainly his lifestyle is...
He understands it because he's on the winning
other
side of this.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, I just don't. When I saw this, I went, "Oh, come on, Krugman. Is interesting in terms of his concepts on income inequality, and he likes Canada, or at least likes Canada compared to what it is in the United States."
Well, he likes to pick and choose his stats, as any good polemicist does, and so he likes Canada in some regards, but would he champion our corporate tax rate? Probably not.
Because he thinks that we should have equal taxes between corporations and individuals?
No, because he thinks that corporate taxes should be higher, of course. This is how you fund the welfare state, is you tax corporations and you tax the wealthy and you redistribute across income groups.
Yeah, the nice thing about him is that he's just creating dialogue. People are justifying their positions overall. And that's why he's getting paid the $225,000, because you are getting the dialogue and you are getting some of his fame attached.
If I was a student there, I'd be upset that my tuition dollars were going towards Paul Krugman. But then again,
I'd be the
probably
opposite.
wouldn't
I'd go,
be
wow,
applying...
we got Krugman. That's pretty good, man.
Wow. I mean, what are you going to learn from Krugman that he actually hasn't put down in books already?
Yeah, I get if he was a militant or something along those lines, how you might not support it, but what he's doing is increasing dialogue, and isn't that what it's all about at universities?
Well, yeah, well then represent the other side.
How can he represent the other side when he's writing one way in his books?
If you're going to have Krugman, then you should have the other side represented as well, right?
Well, yeah, universities don't do that. They don't hire people, oh, you're from the left, so therefore we're going to hire somebody from the
universities
right.
are supposed to be about critical thinking, Pat.
Yeah, exactly. Dialogue is critical thinking, right?
Yeah, and so, somebody put forward ideas, and you're there to discuss them, but he's actually not there to do any of that. He's just simply being paid $225,000 to show up.
Well, yeah, and
he's
then
not
the
actually
discussion
teaching
happens.
any students. He's not doing
Discussion then
anything. He's
happens.
actually
In
just being
fact,
$225,000 to show up.
Probably what should happen, and maybe this is the model, some of the professors that are instilling ideas into the young people in universities should get paid more, so that some of these ideas are discussed.
Well, their tenured professors at City University get paid $113,000.
Yeah.
So they're already being paid. I'm not quite sure what.
Oh
what
yeah,
you're
but at
arguing
Princeton
here.
he got a pay cut from probably closer to $300,000, because I know at Stanford you're at north of $350,000.
Well, he's probably still collecting, and as a
those are
tenured
private
professor, he's
institutions
still
that are paying
collecting.
people to get those people to come there.
Generally speaking, tenured professors will still collect their salary, even if they are guest professors at another university.
Yeah. Well, and it all has to do with relationships. You make the point that he's with the Luxembourg income study, but that's Jenna Gornick as well, and she's part of this whole graduate center as well. So we'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit ironic.
I don't have any issue with this story.
To be studying 200.
Irony aside, I mean, like I say, probably should have got more money. Oh well.